What's up, everybody? It's HBT with the Straight Up Wrestling Show, man, and I am here to talk to you a little bit about wrestling tonight. Christopher Burton and myself, we will be on tonight, man, rocking it out for Raw. I will be on during the first hour, then Chris come on during the second hour and third hour, sometimes within the second or third hour, man. I was just now stuck in traffic for a long time, man, and it kind of like, wow, it's kind of like messed me up because, you know, I'm in my daughter's car. I'm in my daughter's car. I went to get my daughter's car to do some mechanical work on it, and man, I ended up getting stuck in traffic. So that right there kind of like changed a few things for me and put me a little bit behind. So man, this right here is a stone trip, man. But let's talk a little bit about wrestling. We don't know what in the world's going to happen tonight. WWE. The way everything's going down with WWE, people are all over the place, and you got different wrestlers, on Raw, you got different wrestlers on SmackDown. So when it boils down to it, that roster, man, who knows where who is at, if they're on SmackDown or are they on Raw, because they're jumping from different places, man. So I don't know which brand. I mean, I know the rosters, but so far, what we've seen since they announced that World Championship belt and Seth Rollins won that World Championship belt, we have people coming and jumping on both brands, man, jumping from brand to brand. So this brand split, it might end up, I don't know is it going to be this year, 6 months down the road, or a year down the road? But this brand thing, they probably still have SmackDown and Raw, but this brand thing is probably going to all come together and it just be one big WWE. Now, I think they'll still have NXT, but the other two, I don't know. And, we might see another WWE product jump up on Saturday or sometime during the week. Who knows, man? But I believe they will be doing another program pretty much to compete with AEW, with AEW's Collision. And I don't know why in the world they're doing that unless they really got a big plans on what they want to do. No need to do it. Let Collision, let AEW go ahead and do what they're going to do, and let AEW continue to grow. Because when it boils down to it, man, we all know, if you've been around in business for a while, or you're a little bit older or whatever, and you're a little wise or whatever, not saying young people aren't, but you know that competition is good. Anything, man, any business in the world, man, have thrived from competition. Competition can either expose you, drop you down, and finish you off, or competition can make you stronger. And I think WWE can get stronger if they let the competition come out here and strive, man. Work for it and get out here. AEW still in this I can't even say the word, man. But, pretty much it's still a new developmental territory. I know they've been around for 4 years, but they still getting their feet on the ground. And, man, hopefully Collision will be the final mark for them, the final straw for them, and they can build up from there. And this thing right here, when I'm talking about the straw, man, maybe it can, stir the drink and put everything back together again, put everything together the way it's supposed to be. That's what we're all hoping. And we know CM Punk is coming back. So CM Punk is coming back, and Tony Khan, we're gonna have to see. We're gonna see what Tony Khan does. Tony Khan says he's gonna take his hand off of creative, and he's gonna let somebody else do the creative. And he's already named the people that he's gonna let do creative work over there on Collision. So we'll see. And I think he got like 4 different people. So we'll see. And I'm pretty sure he's still gonna have his hand in it. But yes, I think that right there is going to be good for Collision if he let other people come in there and have different ideas, man, and try to bring everything together. So we'll see how that boils down. But man, hey, let me just go ahead and talk about a few wrestlers, and I'm gonna talk about some old school. I'm gonna talk about a couple of old school guys, man. Let me just, somebody just come off the top of my head. And speaking of an old school wrestler, that's with ACW. I mean, not ACW, AEW. Why in the world do I do that? With AEW, old school wrestler with AEW. Let's talk about Arn Anderson, man. And we know Arn Anderson. He's working with an AEW wrestler, big time AEW wrestler, somebody that they really pushed out there, and somebody who has a title. He has the TBS title, which in my opinion should be called a TV title. But from what I'm understanding, WWE is not going to let anybody else call that a TV title. At least somebody on that level, because I think they got a copyright. They got a copyright on that TV title name since they bought WCW or whatever. But I think NWA has a TV title. So AEW should have a TV title, but that TBS title should be named a TV title. And that's just going back to traditional. That's just me. But, man, let's talk about Arn Anderson. Let's talk a little bit about his career. Man, Arn Anderson, started out, and I think pretty much he started out working pretty much in Georgia Championship Wrestling. And I think he worked a little bit down in Tennessee when he started. I remember when he started, and, a lot of things about him was really good. Kind of remind me of Don Kernodle, who used to be tag team partners with Sergeant Slaughter. His career started out kind of like him. He reminded me of Don Kernodle, and he reminded me of Buzz Sawyer when he first started out. They're not as intense, but close to it. But Arn Anderson, man, you talking about somebody coming in doing work. Now, he did lose some matches. He will lose matches. He will win matches. But, the guy, he was solo and putting in some great work, and, had a different name. I can't think of the name right now that he had. But by the time he got to Georgia, he was using the name Arn Anderson. And wow, man, I thought he was incredible, and he was coming up. And like I said, sometimes he was losing matches. And Arn was really wanting to be a winner. And I remember when he went to Paul Ellering, and he started talking to Paul Ellering and saying that he liked what Paul Ellering was doing with Matt Bourne. And he said, if you can do the same thing for me that you're doing for him, I definitely will join up with you. And I know, I remember him and Matt Bourne being a tag team, but I can't remember Paul Ellering. I think he helped him out a little while, but I don't think he ended up being the manager of those two. But that was a really good tag team, Arn Anderson and Matt Bourne, and it just took off from there, man. And so he wrestled in Georgia a while, and he wrestled Matt Bourne. They were successful. Then he ended up being solo again, and he was successful after him and Matt Bourne was together. I mean, he put together a nice run in Georgia Championship Wrestling. Then he moved over to Jim Crockett Promotions, which actually took over Georgia Championship Wrestling, but he ended up moving over to Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, which I thought was really cool. And it was a big deal to get into Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. Him being so young and everything, I was like, wow, man, it is a good move, and it's a strong move for them to put him over there in Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. And, they had Ole Anderson over there too. So I'm looking at this whole situation, and I'm like, wow, what is he going to do in Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling? And I remember Arn Anderson. I remember him going, being at the commentator's desk, out there commentating and doing a lot of things. And this is a little bit after he done wrestled a few matches in Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, been on TV just a little bit, showing and proving himself, man. But, he ended up at the broadcaster's table. And those guys, man, he would be commentating with David Crockett and Johnny Weaver. And sometimes it was David Crockett and Tony Schiavone, but it was mainly David Crockett and Johnny Weaver. I think Tony Schiavone was just coming on the scene, but he would be out there and he would commentate with him. And he would always be out there commentating. Everything be going good. He'd be commentating good about the matches, but he was always on the side of the heel, of the bad guy. He was always praising the bad guy. He was praising the good guy a little bit too. And you didn't think anything was going to happen. But, 1 week this guy said, hey, you guys just excuse me. I can't sit here and watch this. I just can't sit here and let this thing go on. And they were like, what are you doing? What are you doing? David Crockett was trying to stop him. And Tony Schiavone, what are you doing? And, man, he was getting up off the commentary desk, and he heading to the ring. He jumped into the ring, and, man, he would hit people with that spine buster. He hit the guy with the spine buster. That was his first attack. He attacked the guy, spine buster. Came and did the same thing the next week. he's, commentating on the match, everything going well and all that. And then next, he's like, man, I just, you guys, just got to excuse me. I can't sit here. I can't continue to sit here and watch this. Went in there, hit the next guy with the spine buster. Hit another guy with a spine buster. Okay. Third weekend, come again. Hit another guy with a spine buster, telling Tony Schiavone, Johnny Weaver out there that, hey, I just cannot sit here, put up with this and all that. This thing is not going the way it's supposed to go or whatever. He didn't like the good guy getting the upper hand or fighting back in the match and being able to, anytime that a good guy got the advantage, it looked like he was going to win. Then here come Arn Anderson into the ring the third week in a row and hit the guy with a spine, beat the guy up, and then took the guy, threw him to the ring ropes, and he come off and hit him with a spine buster. And, that was pretty much the introduction of Arn Anderson's devastating spine buster. I mean, nobody really saw it like that. I think he used it a couple times in Georgia, but didn't really use it a lot. And, he hitting people with the spine buster. He tried to do it the fourth week, and then he got opposed. And then, he got opposed by another wrestler coming out. And then after that, man, the legacy was born of Arn Anderson. He joined up with his uncle, Ole, him and Ole back into Georgia Championship Wrestling. In between Georgia, Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, him and his uncle won the National Tag Team Championship, which was only secondary to the NWA World Tag Team Championships, which Jim Crockett Promotions pretty much owned at that time. They were the NWA pretty much. I mean, there was still some other territories, but they pretty much ran the whole thing. And so Arn Anderson became this great wrestler, man, and got better and better with Uncle Ole. So he got better and better. And then next thing you know, Tully Blanchard come into the territory. Tully Blanchard is coming in, and he's feuding with different people, talking to other people out there, man, giving Johnny Weaver a hard time, giving David Crockett a hard time, and he introduced Baby Doll, his Perfect 10 Baby Doll. And at first, Tully Blanchard, he's out there, he's, getting into it with Magnum TA, started a small feud with him and a small feud with Dusty Rhodes. But he also started a small feud with Ric Flair, because Ric Flair be out there bragging about his clothes and all that, and talking about his alligator shoes, and talking about, how he is the class of the NWA, or the class of the wrestling world, put it that way. And Tully Blanchard used to dress nice and everything, but it was nowhere near the quality of clothing that Ric Flair had. And Ric Flair pretty much got tired of Tully talking about that. Tully would come out there and say, Rick, you got to admit that what I'm wearing and everything, I'm pretty much up there too. And Rick was just like, wow. And Rick pretty much said, you're not on my level, and pretty much told him, hey, this right here is just not working, buddy. So him and Ric Flair got into it a little bit. And, these guys actually had a couple matches against each other, because Ric Flair, Tully didn't like it that Ric Flair insulted his clothing and everything and his style. So he ended up wrestling Ric Flair like 2 times, I think, or something like that, maybe 2 or 3 times. And next thing you know, Ric Flair is in it with Nikita Koloff. Now, Ric Flair has been a fan favorite in the Carolinas now, at least in the Carolinas and Virginia. Other places, man, he's still a heel. A lot of people booing him, but in the Carolinas, people love Ric Flair. Okay, Ric Flair wrestling Nikita Koloff. I'm not sure exactly which arena, but it was somewhere here in the South, man. Maybe it was in Greensboro or something like that. Packed crowd. He's wrestling Nikita Koloff. Ric Flair knocked Nikita out of the ring. Tully Blanchard out there. Next thing you know, Ric Flair telling Tully to get him. Get him, Tully, get him. And Tully's sitting there looking at Rick, and man, I knew Rick and Tully wasn't liking each other. Tully Blanchard jumps Nikita Koloff, started beating him, then slid him in the ring. And Ric Flair, got the advantage, took out Nikita Koloff. Next thing you know, hey, the next week, they all together, Ric Flair, Tully, Arn, and Ole. So that was the birth of the 4 Horsemen. But guys, man, I'm here where I need to be. So I'm going to get back to you guys, man, a little bit later, but I got business to take care of with my daughter's car. But I appreciate you joining me, man, on Straight Up Wrestling Show. This is something that I wanted to give you guys. I want to, get on and talk a little bit. Me and Chris was together earlier. We were supposed to talk, but we actually didn't. We were taking care of some other business. But, man, right now I'm going to get in here, and we will see you guys tonight, man, for Monday Night Raw. Have a good one. Peace.